In this episode, I'm going to look at an old TIAC cassette deck and see whether this one's feasible to repair. This is just a basic Dolby B&C deck, auto reverse, and it's dead. So let's see whether this one can be brought back to life. Let's check it out. This is a TIAC R455 CHX auto reverse cassette deck with Dolby BC and HX Pro. I have no idea what's wrong with this one, other than it doesn't work. Nothing's moving. Okay, so let's take this one apart and see why it's not working. And as you've noticed, there's a big scratch on this already, so I'm not too concerned about damaging it anymore. Okay, so let's motor's not turning. I wonder if the motor's shot. It'd be nice if it wasn't shot, because I probably could use that motor if the motor wasn't shot. Let's see whether the motor's getting any voltage. Okay, power on. Oh, no voltage to the motor. Hey. This could be one that I could fix that Techniques deck with the motor out of this piece of crap. If the motor's okay. There's no voltage getting to the motor. Now it could be the switch that's bad that turns the motor on. I think that's it right here. Let's just see if I short across a switch whether the motor comes on, because sometimes these ones, the switches go bad on them. See, the belts are shot on this thing to begin with. And I may not want to fix this. This is my machine, by the way. So it's not like I'm holding a customer's machine hostage. This is mine, and I don't care if it gets scratched or damaged or it even goes back together. For starters, the belts are toast. Yum! Look at that stretch. Ooh, belts are shot for one. So I'm eyeing this thing as a potential donor to fix the Techniques that I stole the motor of. It's hot as hell. That regulator is just on fire. Okay, so there's a short somewhere in this. Is it the motor that's cooked, or is it something else? So let's see if the motor will power up. Yeah, that regulator is. I can feel the heat coming off there, and I touched that thing, and that thing is like that. Like it burned my finger. the heat coming off that thing, that's hot enough to melt solder. It is like sticking my finger on a soldering iron. So is it the motor that's causing it, or is it something else? I hope the motor turns. If this motor spins when I put power to it, then I'll be laughing. Nothing jamming it. Does it turn, or does it overload my power supply? Motor's not hot either. Ooh. The motor spins. Wahoo! I just found a motor. Yes. I'm going to pull the motor out of this one, and I'm going to go grab that Techniques that I gutted the motor out of before. It was too bad I didn't have this. I just got given this machine today. One of my neighbors was walking by, and he knocked on my door, literally around 2:30 this afternoon, while I was working on the BGW. And knocked on my door, and I opened up the door, and he goes, "You still want old equipment?" I said, "What do you got?" He goes, "I got a tape deck. You can have it." I said, "Great, excellent." So now I have a tape deck, a cheap tape deck. This would have been nice to have had this before I gutted that nice Techniques machine, but that's okay. That's okay. We can make the Techniques one work again. then that's what I will do. It would have been nice to have had this one before I gutted the Techniques, but oh well. Power transformer. Because as they say, this one wasn't in very good shape. It's kind of beat up, and belts are shot, so it wouldn't be a contender to repair anyway, because I couldn't give it away. It's got no value. So the deck should pop out, kind of like this. We have to open the just holding this in place. That belt's okay. It doesn't really matter that I had to rob the control off the other one. The Techniques one used a 4-wire motor. This is just a 2-wire motor, so as long as it's got the 12 volts to power the motor up, it will work. Okay, what comes off to take this off now? There's got to be another screw that comes out of here to pop this motor out, because I can't get at one of the screws behind there. This is one of those ugly mechanisms that you wouldn't even want to change the belts on, just because it's so ugly to work on. Looks like this screw here. Yeah, that should be able to get it from here, and maybe one more screw. Where's the other screw? Holds this thing together. Up here. Looks like that one. There we go. Okay, now I can get the motor out of here. That belt doesn't look to be in too bad a shape. That belt's fine. Just the other belt was toast. This one's okay. So two of the belts were okay. One motor coming up. I'm sure it's a 12 volt. Most of these are. Okay, positive and negative. Yeah, it runs. Yeah, it runs. Excellent. Well, thank you, TIAC. Let's go and get the techniques and see if I can get it back together. I haven't taken anything off it. Like, I put everything back with it, so I shouldn't have any problems putting it back together. If only that tape deck had come in before I took the other one apart the other day. Remember this? So when I took this apart, I made sure I put all the screws back in, just in case something like this were to happen, where I could source another motor and try and get this thing to work again. You gotta find a belt for it though, because I did rob the belt out of it too. But the belt is the least of my worries. The motor works. I've got the pulley for it here somewhere. I kept the pulley too. There we go. Yeah, hope the motor holes line up. That's the only thing I gotta be worried about, is the holes lining up for the motor. They look like they're in the same position. Where are they? There they are, right there. Was there. Where'd it go? Lost it. There it is. And the other one should line up right there. There we go, rubber mounted motor. Okay, let's figure out which is positive and negative. On these, I think it's the two outside ones, and we'll just tack it down and make sure it spins, and then I'll look for a belt. On this, I only need to use two of the wires, because the two ones to the right, these ones here were for the speed control, so the two far ones here. The one with the white stripe is going to be the negative. And it should be grounded, because this other motor was grounded on the other one. So if I test between the ground and the white wire, I should have continuity. So that's the ground. So I'm going to connect the two wires up to the motor. We'll put a tape in it and activate it and see whether it tries to operate the motor, because the motor on these ones only runs when you're actually playing, or only playing. Other than that, the motor doesn't spin. Unlike, say, some brands like that other one, the Sony, the motor runs. I think it runs constantly on that one. Probably why they burn out. But anyway, let's. I think this motor is also, the negative terminal is also grounded on this motor. Is it? Let's check it out and see. Looks like it is. Yeah, of course, because most of them are. It's just that stupid Sony design where it wasn't. Soldering iron's not up to temperature yet. Getting a good feeling that this thing's going to be pumping out music momentarily. Well, but I find a belt for it, that is. It may not necessarily be the right belt. I will put in whatever I can find that will work, at least for now. Okay, white is the negative. So we'll just turn this thing around like this. And make myself some room. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to, since I don't need the other two, I'm going to cut this just so the cable's a little more flexible. Because I don't need the second ones, the other two. There. Get them out of the way. That will make this a little bit easier to work with. Okay, now I'll let you guys witness this and see if it works. There's the motor. Let's plug in some power. And it's already turning. There it goes, it turns. Okay, I got a belt here that might work. It's a little thin, but who cares? It'll work. If I get it around the pulley, get it around this side. It might be a little too big, but whoops. Of course, I gotta keep it on the pulley before I put the motor in place, or otherwise it's gonna fall down. Okay, that belt's a little too big, so I'm going to try to find a bit smaller one. Guess I got a place to start. Let's try to find a bit smaller belt. Okay, I put another belt on. This one is, I think, a little bit on the too tight side, so we may have a bit of an issue with wound flutter, but at least it'll prove the concept that the unit is going to work, and then I can certainly get another belt in before I dispose of this unit, because the chances are I'll sell this deck if it's going to work. I'll sell it. But I'll have to get the right belt for it before I do that. But anyway, we'll see if it works. If it works, then excellent. I think we'll get, it might even sound okay with this belt, but I think it's just a little bit on the snug side. And usually these decks, they are pretty specific as far as the belt tension goes. If the tension's a little bit too tight, then you end up with some problems. But the next size up I've got is just too loose. It'll fall off, so I'm going to have to maybe make another eBay order of a bunch of different size belts. That's where these ones came from. They're just the cheap ones I got off eBay. Okay, belt is on. Let's see if it runs, or is it going to fly off? I guess we'll find out pretty quick. Well, it looks like it's turning. Excellent, it's turning. And the tape is running. So let's hook it up and see how far off the speed is and whether I can get the speed right. I should be able to get the speed right on this. It's got an adjustment on the back here. So let's try it out. Let's see how far off this thing is. You know what? Where's my Dolby? What am I on here? DVR, turn that off. A little bit fast. Let's get the tone tape in and set the speed. It is a little bit quick, but I think I can get it right down to the right speed. Okay, let's check out the speed. Damn. I would say it's pretty good without even adjusting it. A little more wow and flutter than the proper belt would give, but you know what? That's sounding pretty good. It's sounding actually pretty good right from the get-go, considering I've got the wrong belt on it. So now all I gotta do is find the right belt for it, and I'll have a perfectly working tape deck that will sound fantastic. The speed adjustment is that one right there, but I didn't even need to touch it. That is incredible. Now, I told you I got the wrong belt in this thing. In fact, I don't even have the right type of belt in it, but it's good enough. The belt that's in there will work. I even put a square belt in because the flat belt I had wasn't even close. So I put a square belt in. I put the original pulley. This is the pulley that came out of this machine here. I put the original pulley that came out of the other deck, the TIAC, and I used the belt that came out of the TIAC. So this is a square belt that's on here. That's why the wow and flutter is a little bit higher. Now all I need to do is I'm going to keep the pulley, obviously, because when I get the correct belt for it, which I'll get one, I'll put because I'm going to sell this deck more than likely. I'm not going to hang on to it. I don't need it. But what I'll do is I'll keep the pulley. I will get the correct belt, and then before I pass this one on to somebody else, I'll change the belt. I'm going to order another belt kit off of eBay. I get assortment of sizes, but hopefully they're going to send me ones that are wider than this, because these stupid 3mm belts or whatever these were, 2.5mm, whatever the heck they are, they're no bloody good, right? They all have very high wow and flutter, so I got to get the right one for it. But as I say, most of these belts are the same size because they're using the same size of pulleys and they're using the same speed of motor, right? So most of these decks, the belts are pretty interchangeable. So that's why I put this motor in with the pulley that came off the motor, which is the same size as the pulley that I put on. The only difference is this one's for a flat belt and the other one's for a square belt. So I put a square belt. I put the square belt on the square belt pulley just for testing purposes, and it's sounding pretty good. So I know you guys want to hear how good this thing sounds, so I'm going to make a recording on it and let you hear how it sounds. I'm going to record this on the same tape I recorded with the other one. How do I do this? That. Whoops. Wrong button. Record and forward. Okay, let the leader run out there and we'll make a recording. And I'm going to play the tape back and let you guys hear it right off the tape when I play it back. Okay, the recording's done. I'm going to plug my direct line out from the tape deck into the camera, and we're going to hear the sound directly off this deck and see how it sounds. Let's take a listen. Well, was that impressive or what? I did not expect it to sound that good. That was recorded on a Type 1 cheap Fuji tape. Nothing special. Just imagine what it can do on a good tape. That was actually sounding very good. I think with the proper belt, it'll sound a little better. But as far as that goes, I think I can put this one together at this point. And once I get the correct belt for it, we'll swap it out. But from what I've heard here, I may not even have to do that. I'm going to do another recording. I'm going to record it on a high bias tape and see how that sounds. In fact, I'm going to clean the head and try it with a clean head. The head's dirty on this thing. It still sounded pretty bloody good. There's all kinds of fuzz on the capstan shafts. Look at all the crap that was on the capstan shafts. That'll affect the wound flutter right there. Pinch rollers look nicely worn, but I guess they're okay. I'll make a recording on this Maxell tape. We'll see how that one sounds. I'm recording the same track I put on the Sony so we can hear how this sounds. I'm also going up to +5 on the meter. If you look at the recording meter here, I'm peaking at +5. We'll see how this comes back. I mean, now, mind you, I am using a little better tape, so I would expect it's going to sound pretty good, but I'm quite impressed so far. So here's playback. I'm just doing it through the speakers this time. And take that pulley that belongs to the shit, I'm going to stick it inside the cabinet because, say, I'm going to get the right belt for this thing. And once I get the right flat belt, I'm going to put the right belt in before I sell this one, because this is the deck that I probably could sell. It's actually sounding pretty. A little bit of wow and flutter, but again, that's to be expected because I don't have the right belt on it. But it's sound quality wise, this thing sounds pretty damn good. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one real soon. Bye for now.